All right, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for staying tuned to Armed Forces Radio 107.7 FM. This is Defense and Security Affairs, and it's reaching you live from the hills of Mogadishu Cantonment here in Asokoro. I am Tosi Obiakeme. Defense and Security Affairs is a program that discusses issues bordering on security challenges bedeviling Nigeria, as well as the successes made by security forces across the country. The program also seeks to enlighten the youth about the dangers of involving in crime and criminality. And our topic of discussion today is unmasking the faces sponsoring terror groups in Nigeria. Now here, I'm going to be giving us a little bit of background, and that will precede our discussion for today. Boko Haram, which translates to Western education, is forbidden and was founded in 2002 by Mohammed Yusuf in Maiduguri, Borno State, Nigeria. Initially, the group focused on opposing Western style of education and promoting a strict adherence to Islamic law. And after Yusuf's death in 2009, Abubakar Shekau took over the leadership and transformed the group into a violent extremist organization. And since then, Boko Haram has been responsible for numerous terrorist attacks in Nigeria, including bombings, kidnappings, and assassinations. The group's most notorious attack was the 2014 kidnapping of over 270 schoolgirls from Chibok, Borno State. Boko Haram has also carried out attacks in neighboring countries, including Cameroon, Chad, and Niger. The conflict with Boko Haram has led to severe humanitarian crisis in the northeastern region of Nigeria. Over 2 million people have been displaced and thousands have been killed or injured. Now, when you talk about national security, threat to sovereignty, terrorist groups pose a significant threat to Nigeria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Loss of lives, continued funding and support enable terrorist groups to carry out deadly attacks, resulting in the loss of innocent lives, displacement, humanitarian crisis, and economic devastation. And to address this issue, it is essential to adopt a multifaceted approach that includes short-term, medium-term, and long-term measures. The Nigerian government, regional and international partners must work together to address the root causes of terrorism and prevent the flow of funds and resources to terrorist groups. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, on Wednesday expressed concerns over the sustained funding and international support that Boko Haram and other terrorist groups have received, enabling them to destabilize Nigeria for over 15 years. And as the 18th Chief of Defense Staff of Nigeria, General Musa has extensive experience in counter-terrorism operations, having served as the theater commander of Operation Hadinkai. General Musa's concerns highlight the complexities of combating terrorism, which required addressing not only the symptoms but also the root causes. And the continued support from international sources and funding, he said, has emboldened these groups, allowing them to maintain their operations and wreak havoc on Nigerian communities. To effectively counter these groups, the CDS said it is essential to disrupt their funding and support networks. This requires cooperation and coordination with international partners, as well as comprehensive approach to addressing the social, economic, and political factors that contribute to the spread of terrorism. And under General Musa's leadership, the Nigerian military has made significant strides in combating terrorism. However, the task ahead requires sustained effort and a collective commitment to ending the scourge of terrorism in Nigeria. Joining me to discuss unmasking the faces sponsoring terror groups in Nigeria this morning on Defense and Security Affairs today is Senator Iruegbu. Mr. Iruegbu is a journalist, an editor, researcher, media consultant, and security analyst. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Tosi. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. And yes, you look good.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, so let's talk about the issue of the day. What role do you think international partners can play in supporting Nigeria's counter-terrorism effort?
Okay, there are a lot of role international partners can play, and even without asking, terrorism has taken a global, is global in nature, or have taken global shape. There's something that is called what? Global War on Terror, led by US, whereby it cooperates with countries across the world on the issue of countering terrorism and extreme violence. If you check in Nigeria too, you see that there are a lot of supports that are coming from external actors in terms of partnership with our military, training them in counter-terrorism operations. Some few weeks back, there was news about our military and British military cooperating, in counter-terrorism training, and you also hear some provision of support from US, from EU, and other countries in the issue of improving our security and counter-terrorism. As of this morning or yesterday, you have the news by the visit of Chinese foreign minister that they will provide and support our military and security institutions in training on counter-terrorism. So it's something, because it's global in nature. It affects most countries of the world. But the danger, the challenge remains on the motive of support, because at the end, every country have their own interest. Even countries that are offering support have their own core national interest at the base of their own support. There is no free lunch in Babylon. So even if they are offering support, I think there's something they are also expecting in return. That's one. Then secondly, if they are also offering support, they also expect reciprocal efforts on your own side. Reciprocal effort in a way that there should be commensurate effort on the part of the affected country to also show cause that they are serious in counter-terrorism effort. And one of the critical areas, which is the aim of this topic, is funding, financing. And why I say the affected country need to share forth. For example, in terrorism financing, there's already a kind of global effort through Egmont Group, where Nigeria have this Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, which there's a link across the world where they can track illicit financing across countries. So that and that's why banking services have been streamlined and make more, that what is going on here, it can be tracked even from US, so that we know where illicit finances are going. If they notice there's a kind of suspicious movement in those kind of financing, even from US or other country, they can, alert you that this there's suspicion in this. So that's one. Then there's also a kind of like Africa have kind of security and intelligence agency unit that meet once in a while to kind of leverage their cooperation. There was a time our National Intelligence Agency hosted, I think either last 3 years or last 4 years, we hosted all African defense intelligence and security, head of intelligence and security agencies across. Our key point in those discussions is how to track terrorist financing and operations so that you can cut off their funding. Now, coming back again to when I noted commensurate effort, you recall that some years back, UAE, United Arab Emirates, noted that they arrested as terrorist financiers.
I think about 8 of them.
Yeah, so which they even prosecuted there.
Over there.
Then sent some further list to Nigeria. So, but due to one reason or the other, Nigeria could not do anything. They did not arrest, they did not prosecute, even though they claimed they arrested, but they could not prosecute. They did not name anybody. There was excuses by the last administration that they don't want to jeopardize investigation, and this is over 4 years
down the line.
And if you also check the administration before the last administration, that's under President Jonathan, he keep on mentioning they know members of that, even members of Boko Haram are even in government. Name them, you can't name them. Even as of recent, the current administration, the Minister of Attorney General, Lateef Fagbemi, said that they know terrorist financiers, but they cannot name them. So that the same line. So if you check some of these things, it gives message out there that maybe Nigerians lack the political will to actually
fight,
apprehend and prosecute the sponsors. Because if you don't cut off sponsors, if you don't cut off financiers, all you keep on doing, keep on sending a security men, sending boots on ground, security.
And keep on risking
their life. That's what I'm saying. You keep on risking their life unnecessarily, or you keep on killing the foot soldiers of the terrorists. And if the sponsors are not apprehended, they have the capacity to recruit, because there are a lot of recruitment pool across the region because of poverty. Who will be willing? So all you just did, even the Operation Safe Corridor, I've noted people that Operation Safe Corridor, one of its weaknesses is that the focus is on the foot soldiers to come and surrender. Yes, why you are helping to get the foot soldiers to surrender? If the source is not cut off, if the source, the funding is not tackled, the sponsors, the strategy, the core leadership, not even the shakal you are seeing, there may be some copy behind the scene orchestrating this thing. If they are not apprehended, if they are not cracked and got, they still have the resources and capacity to get new.
All right.
So that's the challenge we are having. So if with the experience we have the UAE case and other similar cases,
if all those cases can be followed up,
yes, since they are not followed up, other countries will feel that we are not really serious. So what do you think UAE will do next time, if because they've actually gone ahead, done their own investigation, gotten suspect, prosecuted, and just tell you follow up, and you couldn't do anything? And Nigeria is the only country that both even affected and non-affected by terrorists that has not prosecuted any terrorist financier or sponsor. You know, if you check other countries, there are lists of other countries, those that are not even affected, like the UAE you mentioned, even Saudi Arabia, they've prosecuted terrorist financiers, and across the. So most time the story you keep on hearing, we don't want to jeopardize investigation. And for how long will this investigation go on? Is this in perpetuity? So those are some of the issues.
All right. So according to the Chief of Defense Staff, he did say that over 120,000 Boko Haram members have surrendered, and most of them came with hard currency. So meaning that this kind of transaction we're talking about, it could not, or it may not have taken place through the banks. Probably cash, where hard currencies and cash were handed over to some of them. What is your take on this? Finding a substantial amount of hard currencies on surrendered Boko Haram terrorist groups. What is your take on this?
So what it means is that they've developed means to make it difficult to track them. That it is difficult to track them doesn't mean that it is not possible to track them. It has happened, it is happening, it can still be done. So before those cash are being given, there's a source through which those cash, it still have to come from bank before it even go into cash to hands. And you can link that to some of the complaints people have been making in most of this kidnap for ransom that is becoming a big business rampant in Nigeria. The so-called bandits. Some of us are care to ask, these bandits that are collecting so much money, but they are still living in bushes, looking haggard, looking unkept and unfed. What are they using all this money to do? That means this money is going somewhere. Either to continue, either it's a form of terrorist financing, because terrorist financing comes in various ways. Not just, yes, there are foreign elements. There's also local elements within it.
There's also the supply of firearms and ammunition.
So they are like terrorists they do through what they call zakat, where they impose some taxation within the communities where the heads were. There's also issue of drugs smuggling, transnational drugs. Through drug, they finance their distance through sale of drugs, which is transnational in nature across or even within the local. They do through robbery. They can go and rob, loot firearms and all this. Also through corruption, where you've seen instances where members of security agencies, some elements, leaking or selling some arms to the terrorist organization, or leaking information which can lead them, ambushing state armed forces and cutting away some of those. Then there is the other. Then through other illicit financial operation, there are also other legitimate means. Sometimes they establish NGO that looks legitimate. I don't know that this NGO behind the scene, they are funded. There have been the cases that is the one that is going on in the Middle East now, whereby the Israeli government is accusing the UNRWA, that is United Nations, something on Palestinian, that the Hamas are using them to so you have that across anywhere you have terrorists. Sometimes they even start as a charity organization, like the Lak Kurawas we are talking about now. They started like that. Even the Boko Haram, they started, so they can even do it through other legitimate means, like buying shares in companies, fronting company that look legitimate, doing legitimate business, but you don't know that they are funneling that money back to terrorists. So these are various means. It can also be funded by foreign government, to destabilize other countries or for some purposes. Even we've seen cases where even government sponsor terrorism within its own distance to also to create some. So there are a lot of intrigues, clandestine activity, but the bottom line is that this funding can be tracked. It has been done, and there have been instances. Is the funders can be tracked, the finances can be tracked.
Because
so there are a lot of instruments and facilities, and that's what this NFIU was set up for, and that is also what the Egmont Group, because it's international in nature and it linked to financial and banking system. So in addition to, I didn't even mention the other online through like cryptocurrency and all this, trading in forex and all this, that they also used to finance their activities. But nothing is, because government is too powerful. Government is too powerful. No matter how you think.
An individual cannot be more powerful than, or
because it's government that actually creates systems. So that's why you see Americans and all this, and they can always track even cryptocurrency that seems so secretive, and they can also track. Even Nigerian government have done it successfully. Even cryptocurrency operators, wallet and all, they've done it. When the NSAS thing, they were able to track them. So, but the challenge we are having, which we've been talking, is political will, lack of political will, which I've given you instances of the past three administration, giving one excuse or the other. And there is the limit to what you can use military to do. If you want the chief of defense staff, I think that's what basically was lamenting, and you can't expect him to start because he's a government appointee. So he have to push you to international. Yes, there is a role international parties can play, but you have to, as a local, have to do. It's not military that is going to do. Their own is to fight, even though they have intelligence within the military, defense intelligence, and other military arms. But when it comes to financial intelligence, we have institutions that will help to facilitate this. And even if when it comes to prosecution, arrest, and it's still the government that have to effect that. In a situation where they politicize everything, maybe we don't know reason why they don't want to name and shame and expose. Maybe the friends within the government are involved or whatever. So you keep this in perpetuity. That means you are just paying, like we noted, you are just sending our troops, sending to just go into perpetual war. And I've told people, if you don't cut off sponsors, if you don't cut off financiers, you are just preparing the whole thing. And just like you have a cancerous wound, you are just dressing so that the sore doesn't look ugly in the eyes of the people. But it has not healed because you not remove the tumor. So the tumor is just like the financiers, the sponsors. So if you keep on dressing the rots in the surface, so that's what it looks like.
Okay, all right. So now talking about intelligence, how best can Nigerian military improve its intelligence gathering and sharing to disrupt terrorist funding networks that we are talking about?
Yes, Nigerian military to an extent you still have to do interagency collaboration. Their human intelligence needs to be top notch. Every day we learn, so constant training, constant acquisition of modern tools and gadgets for intelligence gathering. There is human intelligence, there is human-born intelligence, there is the other electronic ones. So if they get it, but if they don't receive the cooperation of other security agencies too, and other agencies of government that are also responsible for some of these things, there's limit to what. So there's something that is called whole of government and whole of society. As well, if they don't receive much cooperation from even the community themselves, there's a limitation. Because you find that counter-terrorism is always very difficult in a hostile environment. Or even security operation is always difficult in any environment that the population is not cooperative or see the armed forces as an imposition, as an occupation force. You've seen it with the cases of US in Afghanistan. Despite the enormous power of the US and all this, you find out that the population felt they don't need the US presence. They felt US is like an occupation force, is an imposition. Even democracy US is trying to introduce to them, they find that it's alien. So there was this lack of cooperation from the population itself. So at a point, US see it as a dark hole. If they continue, they just stay there in perpetuity. At a point, they have to give up and say, look, if you people want Taliban, if that's all you want, okay, have it. Eventually, that's what happened. So if you check, even in Gaza, as powerful as Israel is still finding, because the Hamas itself is embedded in the people, and the people will not be willing to give them up or leak information. So that's why they are even finding it difficult, to if you check also across history, if you study how terrorism, that's why sometimes it's difficult if it's in a population. So you need a whole of society. The communities, the society have to cooperate, give information. Actually, but there are also limitations even when society want to cooperate. Like we've seen instances where even in Afghanistan, even in Gaza, even in the northeast, whereby the citizens of the community may want to volunteer information. They volunteer. By the time the security agents leave, those details will come to the family and massacre the family to instill fear and others that, look, you are not safe by delivering. So if citizens feel vulnerable in giving some intelligence or information that will help, they may not be able to volunteer out of fear. It may not be out of hostility to the state actors. It may be out of vulnerability, that they are not, their life is not safe. Because if there have been instances, and that's what we're also talking about, corruption and all this, there may be some clandestine element even within the state actor that may even cooperating with the non-state actor that look who gave out this information. So some of this is a complicated issue. So for the military, they need, apart from improving their own intelligence capacity, they also need cooperation of other sister units, National Intelligence Agency, State Security Service, other like the police, the even civil defense, all this, even road safety, as much, all these have information that are key because they monitor traffic movement. They can pinpoint all this, some of the movement which they can pass to the military. But do we have a system whereby real-time intelligence sharing, intelligent fusion, whereby the information among all these sister agencies are flowing within themselves? Because sometimes the problem we have is restricted interagency collaboration. Yes, they can say there's interagency collaboration, but most of them tend to hog some information so that they don't feel weak or giving advantage, and the other sister agency will take the glory. So this kind of subtle rivalry of who gets the glory, who doesn't, makes, if we check after the post-mortem, after 9/11, there was a post-mortem. That was the problem the U.S. security had. All of them had information, but they could not share it with each other. The one immigration had, they could not share with the FBI, the CIA, and all this. So after that, that's why they created the Homeland Security, to have a body that will harmonize all this information real time and begin to advise, so that they will give each agency that are responsible to this, they will now point it and say, do this, do this.
This is called so function of this.
Yes. So now we have Ministry of Interior, but Ministry of Interior doesn't play such role. Yes, we have Office of National Security Advisor, which is also in charge of harmonizing counter-terrorism operation, but it's not too broad in nature to handle such. So we don't have similar body like Homeland Security Office like we have in the US. So sometimes these things can limit it. So if there is that, like I noted, improve the security aspect of the Nigerian military, the defense intelligence agencies, the military intelligence various services, then cooperation with other sister security agencies, then the government would also, including the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, that NFIU, very key, Then the NIA too, very key, because there were eyes outside the country, to note what is going on. So they do a lot of collaboration with other security intelligence spy agencies across the world. So they help. Then collaboration with global powers or intelligence. That's why I've advised that, okay, even though we may have diplomatic spats or differences with the countries of the Sahel, like Niger, in no time should we lose security and intelligence collaboration, because it's very, very important for our national security. So while they can be having that diplomatic behind and below the radar, the intelligence and security cooperation, because there are some shared mutual interests among those countries, between those countries, for security and territorial integrity of their own countries. So they can leverage on those mutual interests and strengthen further our intelligence sharing, security collaboration. So even if we have issues at the diplomatic level, allow politicians to deal with that aspect. At the level of intelligence, security cooperation and collaboration is something we should not play with. So that's why when around August or September, the CDS visited Niger, even after that, a lot of things that happened seems not to the gain, as if it's a wipe off the gain, with recent accusation, counter accusation, and discovery of lacunar hours. But we should not give up. Relationships is always a work in progress. So it's not that there will not be difference. Even husband and wife quarrel well, but they move on. Siblings quarrel, they reconcile, move on. So that's how I'm seeing it, because the trajectory Niger, Chad is going now, it's not something Nigeria should just sit idle and allow it to go like that, because it will not work well for us. And already the Sahel region has been described as the epicenter of terrorism, moving away from Middle East.
And going by the porosity of our borders.
So it's something we need to take seriously.
All right. So the CDS call on the United Nations has been met with what's it called now? With criticism from some scholars, from some security experts. One is a security scholar at the University of Ibadan, Professor Olawale Albert, and another security lecturer at the Department of Criminology and Security Studies, Lead City University, still Ibadan, faulted the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa's call on the United Nations to investigate Boko Haram financing. And they said that such a call would create a misleading impression that the Nigerian security system lacks the requisite capacity. What is your opinion on this?
I've given answer to this while I'm analyzing the previously. The CDS call, it looks laughable on the surface, but he's smart in the way because you don't expect CDS. He's, like I said, he's a government appointee. You don't expect him to turn around and say, a government that appointed me, you people are not doing well in this regard. But indirectly, that's what he's saying. There should be political will. I've given you instances of 3 previous, not only this administration, 3 previous, from Jonathan to Buhari to right now, Tinubu. There's this lack of political will. And I say there's a limit to what military can do. He's just crying out. Because which country, United Nations, come and be investigating for? Where does that happen? No. You as a country need to take the lead and say, see what I've found out. And just the way Israel did with the UNRWA, and says, okay, see what I found. So this thing may now need to cross-check. And I cited the case where even Nigeria received help from UAE and all that, and even helped us to do investigation and submitted a list which government admitted, and even further did their own and admitted about 400 suspect companies, BDS, that's Bureau de Change and all these things. Nothing has been, the former Attorney General Malami said there's a legal difficulties. The Minister of Information then, Lai Mohammed, said they cannot name and shame because it will create some problem, Then President Jonathan said there are no Boko Haram members in his government. They say name it now, nobody named. Then now, Attorney General is saying they cannot name and shame because it will jeopardize investigation. For how long? How many years? So, is it military that they are appointee, military leader that are appointee of all these political office that will come and start? They cannot. Military institution is command and control, obey. It cannot go outside their bosses. So what I'm saying, there's still lack of political will. So who we should be, not even the CDA. What CDA has provided us, he opened a chapter so that we can hold our leaders, put fire on them, accountable. Because if our leaders say name and this thing, they will go ahead. It's a command. But if our look at the statement that are coming from our political office holders, our political leaders. So does the statement confer to you people who are resolute about naming and shaping? No. So you don't expect the CDS to go. The day he will say that, tomorrow he will be changed. So that's that for you. You can't expect him to come and say, our hands are tied. We have already done our own part, but this thing, you can't expect him to say that. So the only soft target or soft landing is to call United Nations. Those are vague. This thing. Which country is it United Nations responsibility to come and help you to come and be investigating terrorist financial for you? It's not their role. The other tools, the other bodies, the other tools. If a country needs assistance, they know how to go about it. To actually, which I have said, Nigeria have gotten such assistance in the past. But what did they do with it? So that's the question we should be asking ourselves. What have they done with the ones the assistance are rendering? Nothing to date. So I think that's what if you go behind the scene and engage some of our security and intelligence agencies one-on-one, they will tell you their frustration. So and they can't act beyond what the Constitution has provided them the capacity of which they can. Their own is to get all the information, pass it to appropriate authorities, which they have to get the appropriate directive to act or otherwise. So that's the thing.
15 years down the line, is it a daunting task for us to unravel this mystery? Because I know you have said a lot. Is it doable for us to actually nip insecurity in the board?
First, it is doable. It is, like I said, it is, even though difficult, especially asymmetric warfare, of which we are having in terms of terrorists, banditry, all these other non-state actors. They're always difficult. I've given you instances. But is it doable? It is doable. And what do we really need is that political will. We are lacking serious political will due to so many factors. Thing that becomes so simple to do, it becomes complicated in Nigeria because of the dynamism of fault lines, geopolitical, ethno-religious fault lines. So sometimes everything becomes politicized. Things that are just security in nature becomes politicized based on where and who is affected and from where. And who is giving the order and from where. It becomes an issue. So things, what we have not really matured to do is to, when it comes to security, we eschew primordial political, ethnic and religious interests and look at security as something that affects everybody, because security is something that doesn't know religion or because if there's riot now, everybody or if there is bomb, it doesn't select is this person I'll kill or not. It kills everybody that the fragments or whatever shrapnels hit, so that's how it is. So if you check other countries that we feel that they're, for example, if something, yes, you can disagree in most of operation, in methodology, but in principle, in the core principle, you know that this is a challenge to national security. They always agree. If you go to, let's say, in UK, for example, now, there's issue of national security. They will leave all their and know that, okay, there's something to be done. The only challenge may be that the Labour may say, let's approach it this way. The Conservative may say, let's approach it this way. If you go to US, the same thing. The Democrats may say, like, for example, you've seen the support. People have, even the Arabs have noted that there's no difference between Republicans and when it comes to supporting Israel, which US see it as a core in their core national interest. The only thing, the language may be different. Biden may be using more subtle. Trump will just tell you straight. So that's the difference. But when it comes to the core of this, they all in sync. They all agree. So the language may be different, the method of approach, and that's what we have now learned here, to separate those nuances. It's okay, yes, there may be this in how to, but the core, we believe that this should be done. You see some people say, no, this is our own person, that's why they are persecuting. Some people say nothing should be done at all, based on ethnicity, based on religion, based on region.
And you want to ask yourself, what is the place
party
of patriotism in all of it?
So that's the thing. So, and this place of patriotism cuts across not those, because you find yourself in government, eating public fund, you begin to mount I'm patriotic, I'm patriotic, I'm patriotic. By the time you leave and the other side, you begin to speak another language. So your patriotism is just based on because you're in power then. So that's not patriotism. That is, to me, psychophancy. So sometimes I even see those who mount this as not being patriotic or truthful, because there's no depth in their patriotism from what they're saying. So we need to do, I don't know, a soul searching, how will I call it, a reorientation of what is our national value. Our national value is actually enshrined both in our constitution, in our national security strategy revised. We have our national values, we have our national interest, so which are embedded in our national security, because these are core values. These are core. So, but these national values, are they national in nature, or are they interpreted based on where one from, which party you support or belong, or which ethnic group you've seen some people who are key supporters of last administration, who were so violently defending some of the witnesses, some people, so now turn 360 degree, condemning the same thing they were seriously defending. So that's why I'm saying patriotism is not whether, because sometimes you're in government, you don't even understand what patriotism is. It's a stomach that is a patriotism. You don't want anything you see as criticism of that, and the person who is making it is maybe more patriotic than you, because he's trying to point the government to the right direction, because government is not God, they don't know it all. And that's why you have to provide active civic citizens to always draw the attention of the government, because government is a wholesome thing. It's not only those few people who are in the administration, they are just there to help direct. Everybody is part of government. So those who are actually pointing out, criticizing, directing should be listened to and say, okay, pick some things that. But what you have is people feel attacked when you try to direct. They feel attacked. Then when they leave government, they join and be saying that. So I've seen this play out over and over again. So that's why I'm saying, even patriotism, we need to really understand what patriotism
and
is.
Redefine it.
And really define it. It's
right,
not,
so,
it's not because you're in government you feel you're patriotic, or you're just currently it's administration you feel that you're more patriotic than those.
Or you don't know anybody in government and then you're speaking against
So that's the thing.
Okay, all right. So our time is fast spent. In 60 seconds, just give us your parting shots.
So my parting shot is that our government should grow balls when it comes to cutting terrorism, finance, and sponsors. They should grow balls. They've been entrusted. They have social contract to protect the citizen. They've been entrusted the power of over 200 Nigerians to act on our behalf. They should do that decisively, in protecting us. The excuses are getting too much, and it's dragging for too long. We need answers, we need results in terms of this exposing and cutting of terrorist sponsors and financiers.
All right, thank you so much. You have said it all. We need answers, and we need they need to take the bull by the horn. Thank you so much. And that's the much we can take on the program today. My guest has been Senator Irego. Ms. Irego is a journalist, an editor, researcher, media consultant, and security analyst. Thank you once again for coming through this morning.
Thank you, Tosi, for the opportunity.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I do not take it for granted as well. So before we go, let's quickly serve you some security tips like we always do here. And about it today is civil-military relations. The military is one of the cornerstone of democracy in the sense that a well-disciplined, trained, and equipped military will not only defend the country against external aggression, but will also help protect and uphold internal democratic norms. However, there must be a synergy between civilians and the military establishment in an attempt to address the rising security challenges caused by the wanton killing of people and destruction of properties all over the country, which has been allowed to fester for some time now. So if you see something, say something is a national campaign that raises public awareness of the signs of terrorism and terrorism-related crime. Civil-military relations are crucial for cultivating mutual respect, trust, and better communication, among others. I am Tosin Obiakeme. Many thanks to my co-producer, Victoria Abba, aka Nene. You can visit Armed Forces Radio 107.7 FM or my personal Facebook page, Tosin Obiakeme, to watch this full interview. Join me next week at about 10 minutes past 9 a.m. for another round of security discussion. Thank you so much for being a part of the show this morning. Good morning once again. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sorry for the short notice.
No problem.